in 2006 when I was working in a small rural location. We'd had quite a stressful sort of month or 2 months with our patients. It was very much a hands-on job because there was only sort of a few doctors for a very large area. And I didn't really pick up on the symptoms myself. I put it down to being tired, and I put it down to working hard, and I put it down to just, I'm a registrar, so, I have to just do the work and sort of suck it up. But it was actually one of my supervisors that picked up on the symptoms, and they pulled me aside and said, look, you're turning up late for work. It's only 10 minutes, but you only live down the road. You're leaving work right at the, exactly when you finish, which is not like me. I had a couple of days off because they also identified that work for me is normality. But the good thing about them pointing out all of those features is that now I know some of the things to look for when my mood is potentially going down. I became very unwell physically in 2008. I had an extended period of time off work, and then I tried to just re-assimilate and go back to the clinic and start seeing patients. And that was when my mood really dropped, and I actually had to take a few days off just to sort of spread myself out for the return to work.
Yeah. Yeah, come in, Nettie.
I had to sit down with the practice manager and say, look, I just can't do this. I need to work. I need to be working, but I need a way of being able to come back slowly so that I don't feel so overwhelmed and I don't feel like everything's crashing down and lowering my mood. And we basically sat down and said, right, what days do you definitely want to work? And, do that for a month, and then, we can look at doing something added after that. So the workplace was really, I was lucky, it was really supportive. To stay well, I try to ensure that I have variety in my life. So I have my work, and then I have quite a lot of things that I do outside of work, which reminds me that, my life is not just about being a doctor, it's about being a person first. And in order to stay well, I need to do things that remind me of that, like, shopping, coffee, catching up with friends, visiting family, walking the dog, and they're really important things. I think there becomes a dual responsibility. One, I think, is for the person that's suffering it and, identifying with it to actually seek help. And that's really important, but I think there's also a responsibility of the other doctors to actually point out that it might be a good idea if you go and, get checked out and see this is what we've noticed, which is a really difficult thing to do. The initial advice that I would give to doctors in a similar situation is to put yourself first. I mean, we do have a very tough job. You should have your own GP, seek out some psychiatric help and get things working correctly.
Got that file there. Thanks. Can you get those results?
There is a huge stigma around mental illness, be it with the general community. There's a massive stigma within the medical workforce, sometimes perceived as a sign of weakness, that you can't hold things together.
Some tuna?
A lot of doctors are very driven, very stubborn probably, afraid to admit that they need help and thinks that they can get through everything themselves because they've got the knowledge to do that sort of, diagnosis and management. And I think it's a massive mark of courage to actually admit to someone else that you're not coping and that you think you might need help.